I hope this finds you well and living your best life in Jesus Christ. I was reminiscing with my brother the other day, and he reminded me of one of the cardinal rules in our home when we were growing up. See, I seem to remember a lot of rules back then, which I admit is as it should be. A home without rules is a home without courtesy, without manners, order, or a sense of love beyond oneself. All of these things were things that my parents wanted us to learn as we grew up, with the Bible as our guide. So my mother and father used that Bible and made sure to instill all of these in us. Rules were and still are a must. And as I said, there were a bunch of them. From doing our chores to changing into our play clothes after school to getting our lessons. But the rule Mark reminded me of was the supper rule. It was really simple. Supper was at 6 p.m. You were required to attend and participate, period. If you were not there, you just didn't eat. Although I do remember as we grew older and got jobs, Mom sometimes saved a plate for one of us if we were working at the time. But it was never as good as if we were there around the table with the family. Supper time was quite literally the center of our day. At supper time, as young men, we were expected to make conversation from quite a young age. We learned to listen to others and to respond thoughtfully and kindly and intelligently. We learned to share our day. It generated a sense of closeness that I still recall warmly, the sense of family love around that kitchen table. I'm afraid that the importance of supper time is generally lost on our present generation. Most of the people I talk to, even Christians with young families, seldom seem to gather as a family unit for supper anymore. They, quote, pick up something, which is then eaten in the car on the way to sports or band or dance or some practice. Or if they do get it and take it home, it's devoured in front of a TV or a computer or a cell phone or an iPad, and that is a loss, in my opinion. See, God made us to be communal creatures who take comfort in spending time with those we love, especially around meals. Is it any wonder that surveys have shown that even before the COVID pandemic, in the last 50 years, especially, people report being lonelier, more isolated, more depressed, and generally unhappier than in the past, when families gathered together at least once per day to share. I think the reason I recall those times so fondly was because Mom and Dad didn't just serve physical food around the table, but spiritual food as well. During any given meal, prayers would be prayed, scripture read, advice would be given, and love would abound. I can never remember leaving the table hungry, not for earthly food, nor for spiritual sustenance. And we always left the table full of love. The COVID pandemic has, at least temporarily, altered the way many of us as Christians receive our spiritual food. And I sometimes get concerned that even though we need to be as safe as possible during these times, we are getting a bit too used to the convenience of receiving our sustenance via Facebook or Zoom or other electronic means. Look, as much as I am thankful for these tools to help us maintain our study, our worship, and our fellowship, I long for a good old-fashioned church service. I guess I'm longing for supper time. The Bible tells us of the great supper that Jesus is preparing for those who are his, those whose names in the Lamb's Book of Life, because they have given their lives to the Lord. When I think of that supper, my prayers get even more fervent. I imagine a huge table with the family seated all around, and I long for that moment when Christ returns. I long for supper time. When we look around us, we can certainly see the signs of his coming. And each of us has loved ones who have not yet made themselves ready, but not one of them needs to miss that supper, because all are invited. We can't force them to come, but we can pray and we can witness to them by our lives with words that, inspire when opportunity arises, and by our love every day. We as Christians must never forget to be ready for the banquet. In Luke 12:35, Jesus tells us, be dressed ready for service and keep your lamps burning, like servants waiting for their master to return from a wedding banquet, so that when he comes and knocks, they can immediately open the door for him. It would be good for those servants whose master finds them watching when he comes. Truly, I tell you, he will dress himself to serve, We'll have them recline at the table and we'll come and wait on them. Look, the signs of the time are there. Supper's almost ready, and the host is just waiting. We must pray every day with faith and be willing to spend time and tears on those we love, and for many that we don't even know. The reward of seeing them around that supper table will be worth any sacrifice we may have to make here on earth. And let's not forget the importance of supper time here on earth while we await his returning. I don't know about you, but I look forward to every opportunity to share a meal with my Christian brothers and sisters. Whether it's here on Facebook for morning devotions, or a Wednesday night Bible study, or Tuesday Zoom prayer meeting, or Sunday morning worship service, I look forward to spending time with my family. Let us look forward and long for supper time, both here and in eternity. And it wouldn't hurt to remember Mom's rule. When supper is served, you want to be there. You really don't want to go hungry, do you? I hope you make today a terrific day, and I want you to know that I'm here if you need me. I love you all.